On Thursday, August 24th, Japan's Tokyo Electric Power Company began releasing radioactive wastewater into the ocean from the destroyed Fukushima nuclear power plant. The move comes 12 years after a catastrophic earthquake and tsunami killed nearly 20,000 people and caused meltdowns at the plant, creating the biggest nuclear disaster since Chernobyl.
廃炉及びアルプス処理水の放出を安全に完遂すること、またアルプス処理水の処分に伴う風評影響やなりわい継続に対する不安に対処すべく、たとえ今後数十年の長期にわたろうとも、アルプス処理水の処分が完了するまで政府として責任を持って取り組んでまいります。以上です。
The International Atomic Energy Agency will be on scene to oversee the release of the wastewater, but there are still many who oppose the operation.
I think this was really not, though, based as much on the best possible choice, but what's, put in a pipe is out of sight, out of mind, and relatively inexpensive.
So what will be the impact on the ocean, and what will be the economic impact of this decision? The 2011 earthquake and tsunami destroyed the Fukushima plant's cooling systems and caused the reactors to melt, thereby contaminating the cooling water. In the aftermath, this contaminated water, along with more contaminated groundwater, has been continually collected and filtered. Currently, around 1.34 million tons have been pumped into tanks on the reactor site, which equals about 500 Olympic swimming pools. The tanks are 98% filled and would have reached capacity in 2024. The water is being treated by what is called the Advanced Liquid Processing System, or ALPS. ALPS removes most of the radioactive elements of the water, but it does not remove a radioactive form of hydrogen called tritium, which is safe for humans to consume in small amounts. The release of water containing tritium is a common practice among active power plants around the world. In fact, the amount of becquerels, a unit of radioactivity, in the water estimated to be released per year in Fukushima is actually less than the wastewater released by power plants in China, South Korea, and even the US. But some scientists are concerned about the transparency on the other harmful radioactive elements that were found in the water. So far, only a third of the tanks have been analyzed to see what is in them.
They're claiming that they've done some analyses, but typically what I've seen in the tanks is pretty incomplete. We have more dangerous forms of radioactivity, isotopes of cesium, strontium-90. Once it leaves the pipe, it can bioaccumulate, and because its chemistry is similar to calcium, this will end up in the bones of the local fish, which then can impact human consumers. Now, I'm not saying, because I don't know exactly the levels that will be there, what will happen. These are hypotheticals, but that's the type of contaminant that I'd like to have seen removed from all of the tanks, independently verified, and then come up with a new plan.
Economic concerns also weigh heavily as the water release plan begins. China banned all seafood from Japan after the wastewater release, and Hong Kong announced that they will ban seafood from 10 Japanese provinces, including Fukushima. Both are major importers of Japanese seafood. People who operate fishing vessels in the area also fear reputational damage after they've struggled to rebuild since the 2011 meltdown. The Japanese government has set up a fund to compensate the fisheries, but long-term concerns about the marine ecosystem remain. Some are left wondering if there was an alternative option to the wastewater release.
There are alternatives, such as using this water to make concrete blocks, for example, as tsunami barriers that would keep the radioactivity on land, or simply storage in those tanks is a really good solution for tritium, because it does have a radioactive decay property called the half-life, where after 12 years, 50% would be gone.
The wastewater discharge operation into the Pacific Ocean is expected to last for decades, even up to 40 years.
I don't think we're talking about a global disaster, loss of sea life in the Pacific, direct measurements. It was hard to detect that even after Fukushima Daiichi in 2011. But we are talking about something that if everybody starts putting their radioactive waste in pipes in the ocean, I think that's not a good idea. And so if you have other options, I think that would be much better.